Well, this is the most mind-blowing thing by far at the Historical Society, in my opinion, and that is a 32-piece one-man band. We have a 32-piece one-man band made by one man, Albert Nelson, who was a mechanical and musical genius, and it weighs a ton, literally.
Wow.
It's on permanent display. People come from all over the world to see it. I'm not joking. All over the world.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reiss and Mark Benzer.
Hey everybody, it's the Buffalo Community Podcast for episode 64. We've got a really fun one. Not that any of them aren't fun, but a good friend of mine, Sally Stevens, she wears many hats. Sally, thanks for coming in this morning.
Yeah, you bet. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're glad to have it, and like I said, you wear many hats.
I do.
From coach to, would you call it a curator?
No, actually, I'm the business manager. I don't want to be the curator. That's you don't want me to be the curator. I've been there 14 years, and they're just letting me start to touch things now. So
okay,
ooh, yeah.
In case people don't know what it's at the Historical Society, Wright County Historical Society, and then plenty of other volunteer things in the community. You're a big champion for Buffalo here.
Yeah, it's the best place ever.
Well, let's start with a Hysterical Society. Hysterical Society.
Go ahead and say it. I know it's just in there.
I'm going to say it again. Hysterical Society.
Nice.
So, What is it?
Well, the Wright County Historical Society is a nonprofit that's been in existence for over 80 years. And what our purpose is to preserve, protect, and share the history of Wright County. So when kids come into the Historical Society and they want to see what cool stuff we have, and I talk about, we don't have the Declaration of Independence because it's not important enough to us because it didn't happen in Wright County.
Yeah.
They don't think that's funny, but I think it's funny, right?
As
Old person humor.
Who's gone through a history class. Yeah,
right. So we've been tasked by the county commissioners to make sure that the story is being kept for current and former, and potential residents in the future. So people come into the Historical Society for multiple reasons. We have 8,000 square feet of gallery space. It's in 3 galleries. We tell the story through artifacts, which is what a curator does. Mm-hmm. So the artifacts are the things that you can touch. Like this beautiful cup should go in the archive because this is major history of Buffalo and Wright County, right? Yeah. And then we have the galleries that show that, and then they work with an archivist. The curator works with an archivist who takes the paper stuff. So if it's like your notes or pictures, especially maps, plat maps, those kinds of things, those documents that are so important to our history, those things are taken care of by an archivist in the archive. And the library provides an opportunity for you to go in and do research on your family. So if you've not done any historical research or genealogical research on your family, I highly recommend you come and take advantage of us. And thanks to the generosity and the foresight of the county commissioners, admission to the Historical Society is free of charge. And that's pretty cool because the value there is not just intrinsic, right? Yeah. We always say, we know how important you are before you have any idea of how important we are to you. So come in and take advantage of it. Yeah. We have a full-time librarian we have a full-time library staff member, or 2 members in that full-time staff, I'll get it eventually, that are there specifically to help everyone who comes through the door and have professional help working on your research.
When the typical person that comes in, are they looking for something specific, or they're just saying, I just want to know more about me or Wright County or where I live, my neighborhood, my house? Because it's 100 years old.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a question we get at least every week. And if you go to our website, this isn't a plug because we're free. So wrighthistory.org. If you go to our website, there's a place that says Ask the Librarian.
Okay.
And you can send in any question you want, and we're going to respond back to you. to the best of our ability of all the information we have.
Sure.
So that's a question we get multiple times a week. Hi, I just moved into this place in Monticello. I think it's old. I'm pretty sure it's old. I'd like to know the history of the house, all the pictures of the house, and then I want to know if any crazy things happened because I'm hearing some noises and I'm wondering if there were murders. So could you please give me all the information you have on the house?
That house. Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Who's that? Like
the old witch's house.
And it happens all the time. And what's really cool about that is that we have the opportunity to tell that person rather than say, listen, there's how many houses in Wright County. We don't go around taking pictures of your house except for yours. I mean, you know, and now you're in there too now. Right. Good luck. But we don't do that. That we take pictures of events and things that are going up in communities, and we do field trips and stuff. But unless those family members in the past have given us information, we aren't going to have that information, and we're desperate for it. So things like photos. Do you have a photo of my house? Do you have a photo of this business? For photos, we've been really good. The archivist has been really good about taking those photos and putting them together so that, you know, at different time periods. But unless somebody gives us stuff, then we aren't going to have it to share. So like this is an opportunity for people, for us to tell those people, oh, would you give us everything you have now?
Right, before it goes in a dumpster because you didn't want to clean out your attic.
Right, because today's facts are tomorrow's history, right? Yeah. So we find that all the time. How many times have you ever said, I wish I would have had that story, or I wish I would have had that recipe from a family member, but they're gone now and I can't get it. It's the same thing with locations.
Sure. And I would imagine too that there's got to be an emphasis on not just trying to track down history, but preserving present and kind of thinking future about current events.
Absolutely. So while the Historical Society was closed because of COVID, it's been our busiest time. Now, we haven't been open to the public, but we've been working harder than we've ever worked because we're collecting those stories. We want to know what it meant to you to go through COVID. So we're working through those things now too. And really right away, we started a project where we said, let's ask people in the community what COVID would be like what it's been like for them and how it's changed their lives. And what's happened is that it was too close to them.
Sure.
You know, you're living through it. You're just trying to make it through day to day, and everything's changing and you don't know. And now we're kind of coming out of it. Like, I'm vaccinated. You know, it feels good to be able to do a few more things now. And now we're prepared to say, this is what it was like for me. So collecting those stories. And a lot of the historic stuff that happened in our community over this past year, we've been doing all of that.
Yep.
And in addition, we've also been giving the same service people would come in and do for themselves. We've been doing that for people through Zoom and just doing their research for them because they can't come in and touch the stuff.
Yep.
So it's been super busy.
What's the most fascinating thing that you're just zeroed in on there? The surprising thing, you're like, just kind of mind-blowing.
Okay, well, this is the most mind-blowing thing by far at the Historical Society, in my opinion, and that is a 32-piece one-man band. We have a 32-piece one-man band made by one man, Albert Nelson, who was a mechanical and musical genius, and it weighs a ton, literally.
Wow.
It's on permanent display. People come from all over the world to see it. I'm not joking. All over the world, and experts in different areas, experts who are experts in like watchmaking, in instruments, historical instruments, engineering. They all come and study this thing because it's such an incredible feat.
Wow.
And he was brothers with John Olson of Olson Point.
On Buffalo Lake.
And he used to play there. So he would travel all over the place in a big truck. And the truck he would come into town and everyone would know, kind of like the Pied Piper deal.
Yeah.
And he would set up a tent over the truck and then raise up the side and start to play. And he would sell them tickets. So right now we've just done a renovation in the main gallery while, of course, COVID was going, we were shut, to open up that space. Yeah. But we've got the truck in there. We've got the Nelsonian, it's called. It's encased because they didn't want me to touch it. I think that's the only. Yeah. Can I get this to work?
Yeah.
And it's got the story.
Yeah.
It is the coolest thing ever, and people just don't know about it.
How long ago was that?
He was in the World's Fair in the 30s. Okay. So he was...
You say World's Fairs, yeah.
The World's Fair in Chicago. And he actually played twice a day for Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Wow.
It's a very cool deal. So he passed away in the 60s. So you need to come see this thing. It's spectacular. In fact, his great nephew wrote a book on it, and we have that. Sure. And we have some music of his too. If I could,
audio or
audio,
cool.
Yeah,
very cool,
and a little video that we have on display too, that you can see him actually playing.
Oh,
really?
That was my next question of, do you have any video? But then it kind of dates it of. Probably not, but that's awesome to hear that you get actually video.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's not too long either, so you can come in just listen to it for a couple, 3 minutes, and you get the sense of it's like a calliope, that sound of a like a merry-go-round.
Oh, okay.
That kind of music.
Sure.
But just you could see what he was doing. There's a large spoon like he'd use for potatoes, a big potato spoon, and it's set a certain way, and if he hit it with his shoulder, then it would change from major to a minor key, you know? And he played in knickers and bedroom slippers. And you'll see where he sat. He was thin, and he sat in this thing. And the knickers and the bedroom slippers allowed him the flexibility he needed to be able to play all this stuff.
Wow.
The coolest part
to see that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. And
I'm going to build one. I'm going to build a 32-piece one-man band.
I think you should.
33, yeah.
Yeah. 34, don't leave any room for error there.
One up.
Right.
Yeah. No.
For me, I was first trained as a special ed teacher, and I work with children with severe profound autism. And it's pretty obvious to me that he was on the spectrum because he was fantastic with mechanical stuff, and he sucked with people. In a big way. So he had a photography studio. And in the photography studio, people would come and have their photographs taken. And upstairs, he was building the Nelsonian before it obviously got so big, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was doing it for a reason because they had 4 guys in their band. And one guy had a girl who wanted to dance instead of sit and watch her boyfriend, you know? So they wouldn't get paid full with the 3 people. So he says, I bet I could play the violin and the cello at the same time. And he put it together, and he goes, maybe I could play all 4 instruments at the same time. And so people would come to the door, and he would sit upstairs and sit quietly with his dog and wait for people to leave with the door locked, you know? And then he could get back to work doing what he really wanted to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's put another hat on.
Okay.
Trap coach.
Yes.
You're the coach for the Buffalo High School trap team.
I'm the head coach, yes.
Head coach. Yep. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, the high school team started in 2014. And our team did. And we had been trying for 3 years before that. But, you think about guns and school and students, those things don't go together until you look at a risk management standpoint. So, the year that we actually got the team, 6 million shots had been fired and without one incident of injury of any kind. So we started the team in 2014. And that very first year, we won it all. We won state. Nice. Which was cool. So we were the inaugural Minnesota State High School League champion winners. So Buffalo,
So Buffalo, were there other teams? Well, I don't say there are other teams competing before 2014.
Yes.
Okay, so we entered in 2014.
We entered in 2014, and it became a sanctioned championship. In 2014.
Notice how I'm riding the coattails of we entered because this is the community of Buffalo.
Hey, we're talking history, right?
Absolutely.
This is our community. I'm taking on all the good stuff and the bad stuff. I'll learn from that.
Well, congrats to that. And
that was cool.
Your pedigree in coaching and teaching has really brought you to a lot of different places.
That's right.
So you are a level 3
advanced certified shotgun coach.
That's what I was going to say.
I know you know that. I think it's probably tattooed somewhere on your arm.
But before we got started here, you were talking about what drives your passion for coaching youth.
Right. For me, it has everything to do with that learned. What we learn as kids is often what we think we're supposed to, or the things we believe are the things we're supposed to believe. So I grew up anti-gun, anti-shooting. I grew up in Canada, and none of that was acceptable behavior, not at all. And I came down here, and I lived in the U.S., and then my husband passed away, and I decided to stay here because that's where my kids were comfortable, right? That's what you do that's what I do. So the one thing that my son said to me, he says, I want to go hunting. Well, I did know enough about be living in Minnesota. You don't just say to somebody, hey, will you take my kid hunting? Right. So I sent him through the firearm safety training, and then he started asking again to go hunting. And I said, no, but I think I'll take you to a range and you can shoot. I stopped at a range and had a great experience. And they said, we're going to have a new program. And the head coach is down right now getting trained in Kansas to be able to teach properly. And right away, like I'm an educator of it, I'm thinking, this is awesome. And so I signed on a whim all 3 kids up. And we kept our gun at Jim Bring's house in his safe because I wouldn't allow a firearm in my house, Oh my gosh. And that happened for a couple of years. And then the coach asked me if I would shoot. And I said, absolutely not. Like, no. And good Minnesotan, he asked me 3 times, and finally I said, okay. Because he said, how can you fully understand what it is your kids are going through? Yeah. If you don't have an experience with it, maybe you shouldn't just say no. Maybe you should learn for yourself. I said, okay. And I started, and I never stopped. I was hooked because it's a sport. Yeah. And so that level of knowledge that I received because I was brave enough to try something that I had been told my whole life was a horrible thing. It really makes me connect with those people who say, I don't ever want to do this. I'm totally against it. I will say, that's fine, but why? Have you experienced it? And then the apprehension and all those things that are psychologically attached to that has become sort of my expertise. Sure. And so I've gone from that from nothing to every day. If I'm not coaching, I'm working with people across the country who have been coaching, but it took me to the Olympic Training Center to be trained. And now I train coaches across the U.S., and we work with Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, provide their shotgun youth training mentoring programs. So we get to affect change in a lot of ways by helping the people who help others. And that's been really cool for us.
Yeah, that's going to be a tremendous story if you tell that at that elite level of you're teaching coaches and how to teach and how to coach, is you went from absolutely nothing to like top dog. Yeah, my words. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, more candy for you, my friend. Right. It's one of those things that I started learning as much as I possibly could because that's how I process. So I started getting as much information as I could, doing what I could, and taking the next step and taking more training and taking the next step and taking more training, and people hearing about the work we were doing, and then affecting more change with youth and then different programs and it just kind of snowballed. And by the time I looked up, I realized and looked back to see where I was at. It was like you were doing it and you had no idea. Like if I had to make a plan for how that was going to happen, it never would have happened like that. Yeah. But it just happened organically. And I think that's in a lot of ways when I see coaches who are trying to achieve something because they want their certificate, it worries me a little when I'm training them because I think that it's about power. And really, and you know this because this is my philosophy in life, is that the higher you get in something, the more of service you are. So it's not about power. If you're truly an excellent coach and a coach trainer, it's about giving power to others, and you need to fade into the background, and they need to be the ones who are taking it forward. That's tremendous.
So that, you got to shoot things. I mean,
right. There's all of that.
There's all that positive stuff really involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very fun.
So the team's doing great right now. We just finished our last competition week. We have our party week coming up. And after 2 weeks, we were in first place. And we've had some horrible weather. Yeah. So our weather has been, we shoot every Monday night, and then the kids will practice in between. But it's been Like if it's 30-mile-an-hour winds plus and it's raining and 40 below or 40 degrees, and you can't feel your feet, then we know it's a shooting night for us. So.
Yeah.
Sure. Right.
All right. Looks are going to the range.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think every time I hear you speak in a group, and I go back to the Dave Wilson days of what are you talking about? You mentioned you're from Canada. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's no travel between Canada and U.S. right now due to COVID.
Yeah.
Your mom is still up there?
She is.
And kind of tell us a little bit about being Canadian. And
Sure. It is.
Just drop that on you.
Yeah, sure. No problem. What can I say about being Canadian? We are not, people often say Canada is like U.S. light. As in like Lutheran is like Catholic light.
I like that.
And we are different countries. We do speak the same language. For the most part, we have two languages in Canada. And one of them isn't sarcasm, unbeknownst to me. I thought it was. But.
The other one's French for everybody else.
Right. And I think that for the most part, when I first left Canada, it was to go teach in Texas. And that was a shocker, like a big cultural shock for me. First of all, your cereal aisle is stunning. Like I have never seen anything like that in my life. It was like, those movies where the kid turns a corner and then it like all opens up. Mm-hmm. That's what it was like. There's so many cereals here.
Right.
Must go to Texas for cereal.
Well, you've got it here too, man. It's a Canada U.S. thing.
I thought it was like no. I thought it was better than Minnesota cereal.
Yeah. Oh no, same kind of thing. But it was just avoid Canada for take your own cereal if you want something super special. But those changes, there's definitely things that were different. And when I came to the U.S., I swore I'd never be an American. But imagine, and that sounds horrible to Americans. So I want you to imagine you move to Canada because that's where your work takes you. Mm-hmm. And you get there and your thought isn't, well, I can't wait to become a Canadian. You're going to say, I'm an American. That's who I am. But for me, spending time here, becoming friends with the people who were here, moving to Minnesota, and my kids grew up here. And I loved it here. When I was widowed and I had these 3 kids, I'm thinking, and my parents just said, you're coming home. And I said, no, I'm not.
Sure.
This is my home. And I became an American. So I got to choose to become American. That was really cool for me.
What a different perspective. Because we've always been. That I think that is often forgotten. People do come to America and everybody's story is different.
Right.
It's just, I enjoy hearing that you're right. If we went to different countries, like, I think I still kind of want to retain that.
Cling to that.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. But I find it fascinating. And whenever your mom comes to visit, I like.
Oh, she's Hurricane Lois.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, you'll meet her next time. Trust me.
Perfect. Yeah. We'll get her on the podcast.
Yep.
Oh, dude. You think I can fill airtime?
Right. Tyler and I will just go grab my tea or something.
Yeah,
apple didn't fall far from that tree.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what else we've knocked a couple of those hats off of the rack here. Mm-hmm.
But that Canadian thing. Have you been to Canada?
I will call it way northern Minnesota. I've been go up to the Angle and then go fishing into Canada. So very, very limited inside Canada. It's first time I went there, it was like, that really wasn't hard to cross the border. It was like, hey, going fishing. Yeah. Yep. Good luck.
Yeah.
And then
off
coming
you were gone.
back,
yes.
Way different story.
Oh. Yes.
Holy cow, those U.S. border agents, thanks for all they do, but they were not really nice.
Yeah.
I think, everything
just short of strip search.
Dead serious, yeah. Like, you have any food in your cooler? Like, sandwiches. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know what you mean. Citrus. Do you have any citrus? I'm like, I don't know what that means. But, so yeah, that's my limited time that I've gone to Canada, and we'll go up to the Lake of the Woods, and then we'll venture into Canada and fish. But, yeah, it's a different world when you see the heightened security of just the border in general.
Sure.
So
yeah, it's a different country. It's a big surprise.
Yeah.
But it's it's truly a different country.
What I was surprised at when I went, it was farm fields when I crossed the border, And I just have this mindset of pine trees everywhere. Like that was my mindset. I think that's what they taught as American kids of, well, it's just pine trees and polar bears.
Right.
That's not
and
true.
igloos.
Yeah,
And
right.
Everyone has an igloo in the backyard.
Yeah. They do? Right? Are you serious, Clark?
Yes,
No.
yes, seriously.
No, that's my limited experience inside Canada. So I'm hoping to get back in June, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so,
No.
but soon. They're more restrictive even than.
Yes.
But Ontario's like very, very
Specific,
restrictive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you been?
Bummer.
Never.
That's
Been to Duluth.
That's
About
nice.
as close as I've been to,
Good chat.
right. No.
This is sort of similar to what we talk about with the Historical Society. Is that okay? Have you been to Mexico?
Nah,
Have you been
haven't.
to Europe at all?
No.
Oh, so, dude, where have you been?
U.S.
Cool.
Yeah. Your typical U.S. spots: California,
Okay.
Florida, Iowa. Been to Iowa many, many times.
Nice.
Wisconsin.
Good times.
Yeah. So nothing. It's on the list of getting out of the country,
Sure.
but
Well, America is so huge that it's when we have exchange students come and stay with us, they'll often
Right.
say, "Can you take me to Florida for the weekend?" No.
no.
Well,
right.
why not? Because their countries are so close to one
Sure.
another. You know, a lot of times our states are bigger than their separate
Yeah.
countries. So when you talk about going to Iowa, they could be talking about going from Germany to Austria, right?
Right.
Same thing.
Yep.
So that's cool. And even the places that you have gone, like you've gone quite a few places. It's true, you have.
Sure.
And so I'm going to put you on the spot. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad because I'm pretty sure that you haven't. But have you ever been to the Historical Society?
I went there on a field trip
Dude, good
in
for you.
elementary school,
Oh,
and
I'm
we
so-
tied rope.
Yes,
the
in
rope.
children's days.
Yeah. So I haven't even explored my backyard yet.
That's my point. And
Yeah.
and so we have people who come from all over the world, right? Because we're cool and there's a story to be told there and they want to know about it. But the people who live in this town or this county, because we're the Wright County Historical Society, do they come and visit us? Not very often.
Right.
It's everybody else. It's the same as Canada. If you had an opportunity to go on holiday, you're going to want to go on holiday someplace that's, cool and
Sure.
and interesting and different. And people don't think of Canada that way. In the same way, Wright County residents don't think of
Right.
Wright County Historical Society.
Vancouver is on my list.
Oh yeah,
I've heard really good things about Vancouver
Yeah,
and ferrying up from
yeah.
Seattle, and yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Remember that Canada is there for you, even though you don't know that they want you yet.
Sure.
So
All right. I will remember
they're
that.
important to you.
Yeah.
What part of Canada are you from?
I'm from Alberta. So I grew up north of Edmonton,
Okay.
and Edmonton is on the same latitude as Moscow.
Okay.
And kids here, like I think about Superintendent Thielman, and when he talks about having to shut down the schools or not. I mean, I remember if the radiator, like the front of the bus, if the snow was higher than the lowest part of the radiator into it, then the bus wasn't allowed to plow through it. Right.
Sure.
At 40 below. At 40 below,
Love it.
no wind chill.
Right.
It's like walking uphill both ways to
Yep.
get to school situation. But
Longitudinally. Where does it-
longitude.
Longitudinally.
Idaho, Montana.
Okay.
Idaho, Montana.
Sure. Okay.
So the Glacial Peace Park,
Yep.
which is northern part of Montana, it goes right into the Waterton Provincial Park
Sure.
on just the other side of Alberta.
I desperately want to go to Banff.
Yeah, you'll get over that. Let me help you get over that.
Okay.
It is absolutely gorgeous. And I highly recommend you go and not stay.
Sure.
It's very expensive. It's beautiful. Get out. Don't go and drive through the town to say that you did it. But it has become very commercial. And so you're going to want to go up and see the Banff Springs Hotel, which is beautiful, like $800 a night hotel for the little tiny room, no air conditioning. and then you need to go up to Jasper.
Jasper.
So
okay.
when you think about the Rockies, the majestic Rockies,
Yep.
that is southern Alberta Rocky area. It's so beautiful, those big peaks, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. In fact, my mom lives in the foothills of the Rockies right now.
Oh,
So then you would get into the park, and then you would drive up the trunk road up north to up to Jasper and see that area. So it's that whole rugged, what it was like before.
Sure.
Yeah.
So maybe like a less popular version of Banff, where more reasonably priced and
yes, and
off.
Where Canadians would go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we like that whole Canmore, Banff area. I love that southern Alberta area where my mom lives, which is Pincher Creek, Lundbrook Falls, going into the pass, the Kicking Horse Pass. It's beautiful in there. And just how you come into the foothills, and then you get into the mountains, before you know it, you're in them. Like it's not like you know, one minute you're not, and the next minute you are. It's really cool. But you do need to go drive through that. It is just lovely. And flying into Calgary, if you flew in and then drove, would be the best way to do it.
Okay.
And when you fly in, it's like flying into Denver. It's just spectacular. So
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh man, you'll love it.
Well, and sorry to completely cut it down. As we're winding down here, is there anything that you'd like to tell our audience? Any kind of like closing words from Sally?
Other than how cool you are. Oh yeah.
Was that candy just for me today, or
No,
did you want to say something?
No,
Okay.
no. This is not a promotional
all right,
thing for me. No,
perfect.
That was
I
my
get candy.
COVID situation.
Sure. Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. I just
Yeah.
I just think this is the coolest county ever, and I can say that because I travel the country going into small. So what I do for coaching is might fly into a place, or most of the time we drive, however far it is, it doesn't matter. And then we go off the grid, like 2 to 3 hours, and we get these communities. And they're very cool too. But like the city of Buffalo, I lived here in the 90s, and then moved to Wisconsin, and all I could think about was getting back here. That's all I could think about. And so I did. I came back because this is just such a neat place to be. So I'd say take advantage of it, become very involved in the community. It only becomes as good as you help make it. And yeah, if you ever want to learn anything about the Historical Society or about your history, or want to share with us, like bring it to us.
Right.
We want it. If you have really cool pictures, that would be awesome. Do all that. But yeah, take advantage of this community and all the good things it has to offer.
Awesome.
And I'll teach you to shoot.
Teach you to shoot.
Sally, thank you so much for coming in. It's great to see you again. It's been a long time, but I'm really thankful that we get to talk today.
Yeah, thanks.
But for the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reiss.
I'm Mark Benzer.
I'm Sally Stevens.